Welcome to ilectureonline. Here we have an example where all the charges are not on a straight line and not on the same line where we're trying to find the electric field. So here we're going to have to do the extra steps. Now what we want to do here again, follow step number one, is draw the vectors and label them. The vectors representing the electric fields caused by the three charges, each of the three charges. So we have them labeled Q1, Q2, and Q3 so we can have our bookkeeping. So with Q1, notice that electric field will be pointing in this direction along that line. And let me use a different color. So this here will be the electric field caused by Q1, so we'll call it E1. And then we have Q2. Now notice that's a negative charge, so the electric field will be towards the charge. And so we'll indicate that like so. Now that will not be as long of electric, or the magnitude of the electric field will be smaller than this one because notice the magnitude of the charge is smaller than this one. So this here would be E2. And then finally we have E3, which now will be pointing in this direction. So should be the same magnitude. And so this is E3 because the distance is the same and the magnitude of the charge is the same. There's some symmetry there which will help us a little bit. But now the next step says to find the magnitudes of the three vectors, E1, E2, and E3. So E1 and E3, that magnitude should be the same. I'm looking for my black pen here, right? Because they're the same charges and the same distance to the point of interest. So even though the direction is different, the magnitudes will be the same. So we can say that E1 will be the same as E3 in magnitude, which is equal to K times Q1, it doesn't matter which one we use, divided by distance 1 squared. So in this case, that would be 9 times 10 to the 9th newtons per coulomb, because we just leave off all the other units. Q1, it's 3 nanocoulombs. That's 3 times 10 to the minus 9 coulombs, and all divided by the distance squared. That's 4 centimeters, which of course needs to be converted to meters. So it's 0.04 meters, quantity squared, and let's see what that equals to. So I have 9e to the 9th times 3e to the 9 minus times 1 divided by 0.04 squared equals, and that's 16,875. 16,875 newtons per coulomb. That's the electric field strength or magnitude for both E1 and E3. How about E2? Well, E2 is going to be equal to K Q2 divided by R sub 2 squared. So that's equal to 9 times 10 to the 9th newtons per coulomb times the charge. Even though it's a negative charge, we'll just put in the positive equivalent, the magnitude of that, because we're only looking for the magnitude. 2 times 10 to the 9th, or minus 9, all divided by 0.04 meters squared. And that will be equal to, see, it's only 2/3 of that, so divide by 3 times 2 equals 11,250 newtons per coulomb. All right, so now we have the magnitude of all three of those electric fields. Now we need to find the x and y components, and here we do indeed have to do that because they're not all pointing in the x or the y direction. So you can see here that for, and let's see, should I use purple? Yes, I'm going to use purple. So for E3, I'm going to have a x component and I'm going to have a y component. So this would be E3 in the x direction, and this would be E3 in the y direction. And same for E1, I have a component in the x direction, E1x, and a component in the y direction, E1y. Now luckily, in this case, notice that E3y and E1y, they're the same magnitude pointing in opposite directions. Well, it doesn't look like the same magnitude, so let me make this a little bit longer so it looks a little bit more obvious. There we go. They are the same magnitude, opposite directions. They will cancel each other out, which means we only need to keep the two x components of E1 and E3, and we have, of course, E2, which also is just by itself an x component, so it takes care of all the y components. We only are left with the x components, but we still need to find out what they are. So now we can say that E1x is equal to E3x, which is equal to E1 times the cosine of the angle theta. In this case, the angle is 30 degrees because these angles are opposite angles, so this is equal to 30 degrees, and so is this angle, theta equal to 30 degrees. So that becomes equal to E1, which is 16,875 newtons per coulomb, multiplied times the cosine of 30 degrees. So let's see what that is equal to. 16,875 times the cosine of 30 equals 14,614. 14,614 newtons per coulomb. Now you may say, why is he keeping so many significant figures? And the answer is, yeah, we don't need to because we were given the numbers with very small number of significant figures, just one, but it's okay, just keep them, and at the end we can always round it off to the proper number. Matter of fact, sometimes we just get lazy, we don't put all the decimal places in, and so we typically keep 2 or 3 decimal places for the final answer. Okay, so now we found the x and y components. Now we're ready to add the x and y components. As you can see now, we don't have to add the y components because they cancel out. We just need to add the x components, which means that E, the electric field, is going to be equal to E1x, that's positive because it points to the right, E1x, plus E3x, because that's also pointing to the right, but minus E2 because that one is pointing to the left, the magnitude of E2, and times the unit vector in the x direction. So now we just need to plug in the magnitudes and see what we get. So E is equal to E1x. That would be 14,614 newtons per coulomb, plus, again, 14,614 newtons per coulomb, because they're equal, minus E2, which is 11,250 newtons per coulomb, and that is in the x direction. So we multiply this times 2 minus 11,250, and we end up with 17,978. We'll just call it 18,000, round it off to 18,000 newtons per coulomb. So E is equal to a positive 18,000 newtons per coulomb in the x direction. So here again, we don't have to find the magnitude and direction because the magnitude is 18,000 and it's pointing in the positive x direction. That's how it's done.